All right, so hello everybody, it's Sonia again. So as promised, I wanted to come on and share with you how I determine my recipe for different sized containers. I have a Pringles can. If you remember a little earlier, I was wrapping some of the soaps that were made from the Pringles cans, but I wanted to show you how I come up with my recipes. So it's very easy. Some of us have a hard time with calculating the different recipes out so that we could start making soaps, but you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to share with you my little method of doing it. It always comes out perfectly. All right, so when I look at any container, I always look for the size information. The net weight is always provided, and so 4.62 ounces. This the lighting just changed up in here, and I'm sorry about that. But I take the net weight on. In this case, it's 4.62 ounces or 131 grams. Either which one you decide to use, it will come out. You will need a calculator. So to keep it simple, because soapcalc.net will allow you to put your numbers in either format, grams, ounces, percentages, or even using the decimal system. So keep that in mind. But let's say, for example, we wanted to use this particular container to make soap in. All right, so I'm going to go with 131 grams. That's the size of my container. I'm going to use that number. So let me do this. Let me adjust the camera so that you can see everything as I'm calculating it, okay? Just give me 1 second. I'm going to just adjust, and hopefully if I can get something that will show up on the camera, you can see. And I don't want to write on my, I'll use the back side of this. So I'm taking the weight, and you can't see it, but it says 131 grams. So this is what I know that I'm working with, 131 grams. So let's say, for example, our recipe calls for coconut oil. And let's say we know that it can't go over 35%. Let's say our recipe calls for 30% of coconut oil. If this is the size of my container, I need to take 30% of that number. So I'm going to use my cell phone that does have a calculator on it. Just give me 1 second. All right, so we will, and I'm not sure if you can see this, but it's pretty big on my end. All right, so 131 grams times 30%. And this is what it comes out to. 39.3 grams is what I need of coconut oil. 39.3 grams. And that's just for my information. And all I did was said 131 times 30%. And I'll show you what that looks like. Again, 131 times 30%. And that's it, 39.3 grams. Now, that's one way of doing it. There is another way. If you use the soap calc, if you know the size of your container, there's a way on the software that you can key this number in, 131 grams in, and then you can tell the computer the percentage signs. You can give the percentage measurement for each ingredient that you will use. But I find it easy to determine my information on paper. I don't know, I'm just like using the tools that I have immediately. I can do this quickly. Sometimes on soapcalc.net there's a whole lot going on. Like, for example, I have a recipe right here. I'm not, if I mess with it, I'll shake the camera, and I don't want to do that. But if I go on soapcalc.net in a hurry, I see that there's a lot going on that particular website. I like having the option of doing this. Or let's say, for example, we wanted to make this entire soap 131 grams of olive oil, making a Castile soap. That's possible. There are some oils and fats that you can use totally for the entire amount of your container that you want to use. But most of the time you'll want to use different oils, I'm assuming. And my Sharpie is about to run out. So let's say you wanted to do the remaining 70%. The remaining 70% you wanted to be in olive oil. You could either just subtract these two numbers and whatever you come up with. So let's do that now. So I have 39.3 already there. So let's subtract the 131 from that. I come up with 91.7 grams. So I could either do that, or, and this is just like a simple recipe that you could use. You would still have to pass this through soapcalc.net to determine your lye content. And here's another tip for you, where soapcalc.net allows you to put in your lye concentration. I don't know if you, I wish I was at my computer, I'd be able to show you, but sometimes it'll ask you, what is your water concentration? Well, I don't do the water concentration. I usually use the lye concentration, and I want it always at 33%. That's my liking. And I mean, I work with it at that much. So you could easily key in this exact number, 33%, and it will calculate the lye for you out. So that's for the lye concentration. But the other way in which you could come up with your olive oil content would be just to do the same thing we did here, where it says, where we did the coconut oil. So let's do that. I'm going to clear out my calculator and say I started off with olive oil, 70% of the 131 grams. So times 70% equals 91.7 grams. It's the same thing. So I thought I would share with you what I do to determine how much to use of each oil, fat, butter, whatever, whenever I'm using a container that isn't. So now we're going off of these numbers that are provided. Will it come all the way to the top as far as your soap batter, soap mixture? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it comes like right here, like right towards the top. I've even had them to where they came like right here, and I'm fine with that. You know, it's as long as I am able to get the majority of the container filled with soap. And as you can see, I've been able to do this pretty good, I think. My little one, my 8-year-old, she loves these things, and sometimes they will sell them in the small containers, the like really individual sized ones. I'm not sure if you guys have seen those, but I've made like sample, or I wouldn't call them sample, but like test batches from using those small containers. And of course I'm not going to throw the samples away. I just like not having to make like a 5-pound batch of soap, knowing that I can get like a small, I don't know what the size of it is, but it's the personal sized Pringles cans, and I want to say that it's about this size, about that much, like that. So I mean, I don't mind mixing that together and throwing that in there and getting like 2 or 3 bars of soap out of it to see what it'll be like. So, but yeah, I wanted to share this with you. As long as you know the volume or the size of your container, how much it will hold on the inside, you could pretty much determine and break down a recipe or create your own recipe. Just be mindful of the different ingredients and what percentages of each should you put in a soap bar, because you don't want to use a 100% coconut oil bar, because that would really be drying out to your skin. Coconut tends to be quite drying out. It dries your skin out a whole lot. But There's another way that you could do this, and that would be by putting your container on a weigh scale and making sure your weigh scale says 0 when your container is sitting on the scale. Once you've zeroed it out, fill your container with water and write down the weight that it gives you on your weigh scale. And now you will have the exact measurement for the volume of how much this will hold. That's another way that you could do it if you want it to be so exact and know precisely where your soap batter will end up, so to speak. But those are two different methods that you could use as far as on how to determine how much soap can be held in something like this, or any type of container. If you come across, like, sometimes there's butter containers, or different containers that has a lid where you don't have to worry about wrapping your soaps. You can just allow it to be insulated like this, and yeah, it works. So just make sure that the container can withstand the heat that the soap process goes through. Most containers have PP5, polypropylene 5, I think it is. You might just check that to be certain. These are rather insulated quite well. Even after I've washed and cleaned this one out, it's still held up pretty good. So just be mindful of that. Use some common sense when you're working with different types of containers. Even do a little research. Sometimes at the bottom of plastic containers, you can get that little triangle at the bottom that tells you what type of plastic it is. Just type what you see on your cell phone in a Google search or Safari search, whatever you use as a search engine, and determine the heat capacity of the plastic or the container that you're going to be using. And that's what I tend to do. But in the past, these have always worked very, very well, and I've always saved them whenever my little one has she's finished with it. I've always tucked it away. And so I have two of them. I have one right here, and I have another one, a real long one. So, and I've used a few of them already. And what I like most about these is that once you're finished, you throw it away. It's a one-time use. I don't reuse these things for making soap. Once I make one batch, I throw it away, because when I have to remove the soap, I tear away the cardboard area and it's not usable again. So I hope this was beneficial to someone out there. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below in the comment section. Please subscribe to the channel. You never know what I'm going to share. As always, thank you so much for tuning in to the Dare to Share channel. This is Sonia saying have a wonderful day. Bye.